The day is 9/11, 2017. No, we are not talking about the 9/11 attacks on this video. Go on YouTube and they'll talk about it all day. This video, being that this, lovely YouTube personality named Jhammaster J is in Florida, this video will be about what just transpired in the past 42 hours. And that is Hurricane Irma. Now, I've been waiting to talk about this all day. Obviously, you had to wait till the power comes on because, it was only right. Or if it didn't, then I probably wouldn't get much out of this. But now I get to finally speak on the issue. Hurricane Irma came, went, left some destruction. Not gonna make it out as if this was, an easy storm, but I'm here to tell you as a YouTube personality that's been here. The hurricane wasn't as bad as the media portrayed it to be. And this is what this video is going to be about. The media. Because a lot of you guys need to understand the purpose and why you have been lied to, bamboozled, and pretty much forced to believe something was going to happen a lot more than it really did. And here we go. Now, if you're a Floridian like myself, you're watching on the news all day, Hurricane Irma's coming. It's going to be the strongest hurricane recorded in history. It was going to be a Category 6. You should be scared. You see, the media does that all the time. Every single year, fear tactics has been put, a different set of fear tactics, whether it's locally or whether it's, regardless of the matter, fear tactics has been put on our TV screens and our radio frequencies. Not the day that radio and TV's been created, but the day that the media decided to take power and just decided, let's control broadcasting in a way to manipulate the minds of the masses, because all they do is watch TV all day. Now, although I appreciate meteorologists and what they use to measure the weather, because at the end of the day, they know what they're doing. I give them all credit. But let's be honest. As people that experience these weather conditions, they always like to put a little fearful tactical twist on these things. Every time with the hurricane, they did this last year and they're doing this year, and they did it again, and they try to do it again with the next coming hurricanes. But obviously, they're not making their way towards Florida, at least not so far. Every time with the media, every year, especially with this one, I don't know why I was more annoyed this year than I was last year. Last year, the hurricane was on its way. It hit Florida, but then just bounced off the course and then went back to Jacksonville. It hit Jacksonville pretty hard. So far, Jacksonville got two full force brunts of the hurricanes in the past 2 years, consecutive. So far, everyone's Jacksonville. Even then, Jacksonville got it worse than us, and they're still doing okay. Every time, in the internet too, they take a picture or a video of these hurricane-like conditions, and they always put whatever's in the worst condition. With the water being drained out, coming out. We get it. It's not the best condition to be in right now. Always remember, that water's going to come back into the lake. When the heat comes, it rises the water. But once it forms clouds, once a cloud gets gray, that means there's too much water and it releases. It's called a cycle for a reason. And it's called replenishing itself from the earth. At the end of the day, it's natural. When you have news outlets and people like Rick Scott declaring the state of emergency and making people, buy a bunch of stuff from, Lowe's and Home Depot, a place I work at, every time with these people, it's, get your shutters, bunker down, and all that. And I say to myself, y'all couldn't do this in advance? Y'all couldn't just do this yearly? Y'all couldn't do this at a certain time of year? Get your shit, put your shit up, get ready? I mean, y'all couldn't just be this prepared when you had to? Like, why do you have to do this now? Because the news told you to do it? You couldn't just leave the stuff there where you're at? And that's the hilarious part of my job. We sell this stuff, but when the hurricane comes and hurricane season's over, what do? They come right back to the store to return all of it. And it's like, you don't want to keep this just in case this comes back? You're going to save yourself money. We get it, you spent a lot of money that year, but you don't have to spend the money next year. How about that? These people don't think about it. Because they let the news control them. Every time. I see this all the time, The governor saying, we can't protect you. We can rebuild your house, but we can't rebuild your lives. Anyone that counts on the government to rebuild their lives is an idiot. Obviously we know you can't. It's up to us to rebuild our lives. We're all responsible for rebuilding our lives. And like I said, worst case scenario, what happens when the neighborhoods get destroyed and everything? If we're still alive and we have our health, as long as the process, as frustrating the process is, the positive part is rebuilding yourself to come back. Everything happens for a reason, people, and we need to understand that. This isn't a good preach or a holier than thou preach. This is just me straight up telling you guys. How many times are we going to let the news intimidate us to do something? Especially at one point, I was like, okay, this is serious. When they kept saying these serious remarks, I was like, this could be serious. Until they said, we can rebuild your home, but not your lives. I got annoyed by that. And then I saw an article that said, Hurricane Irma can kill you. That's like equivalent of saying pretty much, if you ejaculate in a woman, she will be pregnant. No shit. No shit, the hurricane's gonna come and kill us if we're out there. That's how natural disasters work, Rick Scott. When people tell us to evacuate, yeah, it's nice to evacuate, but where are we going to go? If our job is telling us we need to work the next day, like a certain amount of people in Publix and Chinese stores and Little Caesars and all these super busy restaurants are doing. They can't leave then. And in my job in Home Depot, what happened last year is certain people weren't allowed to. Certain people couldn't work that day, and people thinking that the hurricane was going to be a while decided, you know what? I'm just not going to. I'm just not going to show up today because of the hurricane. We don't know what the situation is. But what sucked was they ended up having to make that up because they got no choice. They were scheduled to work that day, which really sucks because people weren't given that leave of absence choice. You know? So apparently, we're not giving the choice to leave the state because we gotta work once it's all said and done. Maybe not the next day, but the day after. You know, what's your excuse to that? Especially that one dude. I can't remember his tweet, but he made a tweet that said, "You still want to ride Irma out?" And you see old school pictures of what hurricanes do to the place, like, and I pretty much answered like, yes, I'm gonna ride him out. I rode out the hurricane in 1999. Forgot the name already. I rode out Francis. I rode out Wilma. Even though she was a tropical storm, I rode out Katrina. I rode out Hurricane Jeannie on my birthday. I rode out a tropical storm. I rode out a tropical storm my sophomore year in high school. And I rode out Matthew. That's 7 storms I've rode out. Some worse than the others. So yes, I'm riding out Irma. Why? Because the worst that can happen, my home gets destroyed, I have to go back to Jacksonville, or I die. Either way, there's nothing else I can do, you know. And the things that made me mad the most was when I read this is why I never take the news seriously anymore. I read some of the reports online from the news, and they're like, Hurricane Irma, Category 2, sweeps into, or another hour, it's like, it roars into Orlando, or it slams, or it pounds, or I'm just saying to myself, like, you guys are really, really, really doing this? Can we be positive of the fact that the storm decreased? Like, are you guys literally trying to play God and make people fear? Because if you guys are, oh, you're gonna regret it, you know? That's why I don't watch the news too much. Because it's just too much negativity and too much fear tactic that I don't want in my life. But it is what it is, right? But at least that's been the first part of this video. I want to talk about Joel Osteen, because that one's curious. That one I want to talk about. But with that being said, this is Jhammaster J signing off with a crotch rap, and anyone else that's been affected by the hurricane, I hope you guys are okay. And anyone up north, except this girl named I'm not saying her name. Anyone else, I hope you guys do well, because you guys will get lesser storms. Don't let the news tell you what it's gonna happen, because it's not. And if it does, I'm still praying for you guys. And I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. Peace.